How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. My royal family, don't worry about me. I ain't went nowhere. I do this from time to time. I'm checking out things. I ain't went nowhere. I'm on my grind. All right, my royal family. So I appreciate y'all reaching out to me and everything. But I am fine. I am not sick. I am well. But sometimes true royal got to step back and check out the universe. So anyway, my royal family, let's get into it. I'm going to take y'all on a journey. So, sad to say, my royal family, I've been waiting for this. You know, I live in Northern California. And every year, like clockwork, we have intense fires in California. And it has been blazing, and it has been quite dry, especially in Southern California. But trust and believe, in Northern, we do get our fair share of fires. So just to explain to y'all, in Northern, the weather is a little bit more cooler. We have a little bit more moisture. In Southern, it's dry down there. It's the desert. Hollywood ain't nothing but the desert. So, things have changed. Last year, the fires were so intense, even me and my family had to evacuate, stay in a hotel. It got to bad. It was bad, real intense. Well, there's another component, coronavirus. So I'm going to bundle it all together, because now when we have these disasters and there's things that's going on in other states like Florida, we have to factor in coronavirus, because people are in a state of emergency, and that is not on your mind, and they're trying to get people to a safe place, a shelter, and there are people breathing on top of each other, and more people are going to get coronavirus. So I have some videos to show. I have an article that I'm going to read first. And it's a trip how these fires start. Sometimes they, what was a couple of years ago, it was a spark from PG&E. That's when Trump came out and talked about, well, we'll just rake the forest. And I'm like, Trump, these fires ain't going to go nowhere in California. As long as I've been in California, that's all I know. So, let's pull out this and see this article. Now, they're referring to this fire, these wildfires as the Apple Fire, all right? So, you ain't going to be shocked what caused it, because anything can spark it in a drier climate. Diesel soot is behind the giant Apple wildfire in California, officials says. A car diesel soot caused a large Southern California wildfire that forced the evacuations of thousands, is threatening hundreds of homes, and authorities said Monday. In an interview, a spokesman with the State Department of Forestry and Fire Protection of Cal Fire said that witnesses saw a car shooting large diesel particles out of its exhaust system Friday afternoon in the small Riverside County community of Cherry Valley, roughly 80 miles east of Los Angeles. It's almost like a small marbles, sometimes larger, and when they land on any dry vegetation, they are extremely hot, said a spokesman, and they can ignite any type of fuel. Investigators haven't identified the vehicle or the driver, he said, but they found particles in the area where the fire began. In a statement, fire officials said, describing the emissions as the vehicle malfunction. What began as several spot fires and grew by Monday into 26,450 acres Apple Fire, which has destroyed one home and spread into San Bernardino National Forest, the statement said. Physical evidence found at the scene support the witness claims that the statement said a spokesman for the wildfire response did not immediately respond to a request for additional details. More than 2,000 firefighters are working to extinguish the blaze, which is only 5% contained. Ouch, that is bad. According to the State Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, or CAL FIRE, nearly 8,000 people have been evacuated from 2,500 homes in San Bernardino County. Fire officials says low moisture, high temperature have intensified the blaze. Images of the Apple fire show a mass column of smoke rising above the national forest. Reports of the fire spotted on Apple Tree Lane in the community of Beaumont first came in Friday evening, according to NBC LA. Climate scientists said that parts of California could see brutal wildfires season this year, after huge swaths of the state has one of the driest winters on record. The potential health effects of smoke, the needed to evacuate large groups of people during a pandemic, have also left public health experts worried. I've been thinking about that for the longest. The state has so far recorded nearly 5,800 wildfires. There have been no fatalities. 38 buildings have been damaged or destroyed, according to CAL FIRE. There were 7,868 wildfires last year, and in 2018, the state recorded its deadliest, I remember 2018's wildfire ever, the Camp Fire, which left 85 people dead and destroyed the town of Paradise. Remember Paradise, which will never be no more. Sundown country. So let's get into this first video, my royal family.
An update now on our breaking news, the Apple fire that's still growing tonight. Fire crews now have 5% containment. That's after more than 20,000 acres have burned. Good evening, I'm Hermela Argawi.
And I'm Leslie Marin. Well, flames are spreading deeper into the San Bernardino National Forest. The containment has gone up, but this fire is still continuing to grow.
That's right, CBS 2's Desmond Shaw is overhead in Sky 2. Desmond.
Yeah, Leslie and Hermel, I wanted to zoom in on this fire right here. This is the closest fire we've seen to some homes. This is deep down in the canyon in the Cherry Valley area near where the fire kind of started. It's almost kind of a separate fire, and I know we're really high above this, so I know it's kind of hard to see, but there are some firefighters here kind of monitoring, trying to keep this section of the, actually there's quite a few firefighters you can see keeping this section of the fire contained. But I'll zoom out to give you more of a perspective of this mammoth fire that is well over 20,000 acres. It's just so difficult to fight because you see how steep these mountains, actually the steepest in all of Southern California, and that's why the fire is able to race up the hillsides to the top of the San Gorgonio Wilderness. Now, as I pan over to the east, you can see how the smoke is just beginning to waft towards the Palm Springs area and over towards Mount San Jacinto. That's going to be more to the right of the shot. So we have been seeing the DC-10s down at San Bernardino Airport. They've been coming and refueling with a bunch of fire retardant and dropping them on the tops of these hillsides right now. So they're determined to try to keep it from spreading any farther to the north towards the Big Bear area, but still obviously completely out of control. Only 5% containment at this point. Live in Sky 2 overhead, I'm Desmond Shaw. I'll send it back to you ladies now in the studio.
All right, Desmond, thank you so much. We've got a little bit of containment, a little bit of good news. All right, thousands of people have been told to evacuate, and more are under warnings to be ready to leave.
Hundreds of firefighters are expecting another busy night in steep, rugged terrain. CBS 2's Joy Benedict shows us how firefighters have been protecting homes.
As the sun rose on day 3 of the Apple fire, it sent out a signal of destruction that could be seen for miles. Flames flashed along the mountainside all day, while those living nearby could do little but just watch.
The fire now is burning on the other side of it.
Doug Hammer lives up on Bluff Street, north of Banning. He's watched firefighters push the flames away from his home for 2 days now.
The fire burnt north of us for quite some time, and then eventually it worked its way over here.
But as the fire started making its way down Myas Canyon, he feared for his neighbor's ranch across the way.
There's a fire truck sitting amongst the trees over there next to the home.
And although we could see several things burn, when the smoke cleared, the home was still standing.
They must have their hoses in a swimming pool or something to draft water, because they're actually sitting in place, and they've done a good job. The home has been saved.
In fact, CAL FIRE had engines placed in every neighborhood as more than 1,300 firefighters stood guard, saving hundreds of homes this weekend. And the air attack of water and retardant gave the Apple Fire the 1-2 punch, pushing it further into the San Bernardino National Forest, away from the communities below.
The firefighters did just a fabulous job in keeping everything under control. They were on it right away.
One home in Cherry Valley was destroyed when the fire first started Friday night, but thankfully the home was under renovation and not being lived in at the time. The American Red Cross has set up a shelter over at Beaumont High School for those who are displaced because of this fire. But despite the fact that about 7,800 people were supposed to be out of their homes, they've only seen a few dozen families show up here. And because of everything going on with the coronavirus, they've been given hotel vouchers to stay elsewhere.
Folks that are not taking advantage of it because they're obviously concerned about COVID-19, we have measures in place for that. We planned for this months ahead.
But most sheltering in place inside the evacuation area say they simply feel safer at home, especially since they know they aren't alone. Joy Benedict, CBS 2 News.
And people in the evacuation zone can search their address to find out what's happening to their property. The link is on our website, cbsla.com. Just click Seen on TV.
So, let me shut that down.
September 15th, unless...
Listen to that liar. So, I said that we was gonna have to worry about coronavirus, and that's the first thing that hit people's mind now, that, any disaster that happens throughout the United States, that's going to kick in people's head. People are extremely worried about getting this stuff. So we'll get a little bit deeper in coronavirus in just a bit. I want to show a little snippet of this video before we get deeper into that. Just a little 40-second video.
Fire. Investigators say a diesel vehicle emitting burning exhaust started the fire. It is still 5% contained this afternoon. More than 26,000 acres have been charred. Flames broke out Friday in Cherry Valley, north of Beaumont in Riverside County, and it is now burning up into the San Bernardino National Forest, away from homes. At least one home has been destroyed and dozens more are threatened. About 7,800 people have been evacuated. Investigators are asking for information from anyone who may have seen a vehicle with mechanical troubles in the area of Oak Glen Road when that fire started on Friday.
Now, to me, what's so irresponsible? Where are we at? Let me get over here. What's so irresponsible, because I read the article too. I just find it hard to believe your vehicle misfiring, malfunctioning, or whatever it's doing, and in living in the climate that you living in, you didn't know that happened, and look at the destruction you have caused. Ain't no good come to a person that if they knew this, and I just find it hard to believe they did not know this, that their vehicle has done this before. People have seen it. I know people have pointed out. Very irresponsible. And so, like I said, I know around this time these fires are going to start, and you just don't know what's going to ignite it. Some people just start it the damn self, or it might be something with electricity, and believe it or not, also lightning can start it too up here in California. So I wanted to mix in also coronavirus, and let's hear what the governor has to say about coronavirus, because as of now, every day coronavirus is record breaking in some state. So we done broke a record. We got more coronavirus than when New York was first hit. So let's hear what the governor has to say on top of this fire.
Well, good afternoon. A couple of months back, in fact, on June 1st, we announced with some urgency our concerns about what was happening in Imperial County, California. The county had experienced a significant rise in number of transmissions related to COVID-19. Concern was made more paramount as it relates to the overwhelming situation for the hospital system, not only in the ICUs, but the ability to provide for emergency care more broadly, diversion rates for ambulances, health care personnel questions, a lot of stress that was placed because of this pandemic on the county. On June 1st, we committed to a new process, a new protocol to help support the county in their efforts. Began the process of decompressing their hospital system. Over 650 patients were moved out of Imperial County hospitals into surrounding and neighboring communities. And in some instances, we even brought patients here into Northern California. We approached our strategy in the county more as a strike team, more as a unified command approach, something you would see more traditionally as it relates to how we organize and construct our approach to dealing with other emergencies like wildfires and the like. That process took shape again in the beginning of June, at a time when we had transmission rates, positivity rates north of 30% in Imperial County. In fact, it peaked at 30.3%. You can see on this graph the number of cases reflected in Imperial County in the blue line, substantially outpacing the number of cases in the rest of the state. This graph certainly presents itself as a spike in cases in Imperial County. It required a new approach, new strategies, and new accountability structures, and that's exactly what took place. The model now, as we're referring to it, the Imperial model, was all about providing supports, building capacity at the local level, filling in gaps, meeting needs both on personal protective gear, not just personnel, meeting the needs of the hospital system, providing additional supports, new strategies and prevention from PSA campaigns, culturally competent messages that were delivered to individuals as well as businesses and more broadly the community at large, in addition to sectoral closures that we made abundantly clear as it relates to moving forward to address the concerns that were flaring up in certain sectors of the economy in the valley. You can see on this slide the number of cases as they began to spike. We began to intervene. So you can see the medical personnel that we began to send in around June 3rd. Where we worked with not only state and county and local officials, but broadened that support by getting a lot of federal supports as well from a number of federal agencies. You can see after those interventions were put into place, again, beginning with the decompression of the hospital system as a foundational principle, more targeted supports, and some additional sectoral changes as it relates to returning to a stay-at-home order. You can see that line spiked and substantially began its decline. 30.3%, yesterday's positivity rate, still high, but at 11.2%. A successful approach, one that requires constant vigilance, one that we're continuing to engage in, but one that long-windedly is now become a model in terms of our approach, the Imperial approach in other parts of the state. Last week, where we last joined each other, I began the process of announcing strategies in the Central Valley, in 8 counties in the Central Valley, for the obvious reason you can see exampled here on this chart. We're starting to see not only an increase in the positivity rates. I mentioned last week where I made some announcements about our interventions in Central Valley, that we saw positivity rates on the lower end in Fresno at the time at 10.7%, and peaking around Tulare at a 17.7% rate. Not where we were in Imperial, but we don't want to see it go to where Imperial went. And that's why we felt it was appropriate to intervene using the information, using the experience, the best practice, the data collection, the approach in Imperial, and beginning that approach in the Central Valley. Why the Central Valley? Well, again, this slide underscores the concerns. You're starting to see the hospitalization and ICU rates increase, not just positivity rates in the Valley, outpacing the rest of California. And if you ask me today, what our biggest area of concern in a state as large as ours, it is indeed the Central Valley. We're seeing stabilization in other parts of the state. You'll see some declines in a moment when I make presentation, including some stabilization and some modest declines in Southern California. The Central Valley, again, reinforced by this slide, reinforced by our presentation in Stockton last week, in our announcement last week, is indeed the area of our most important targeted interventions.
All right. All right. I want to keep that short and sweet. And basically, let's get back over here. Southern California is going to be even more of a problem because of these wildfires. And one thing that we know about coronavirus is that it can jump up literally overnight. So we will hear a spike, even though people are trying to do their own thing. Even with that, they're still in a vulnerable state. So I have this last little video to solidify that. Let's look at this.
Allison, we are inside the operation, the battle against the Apple Fire, which is now close to 30,000 acres. Luckily, much of that is moving into the canyon away from homes, but already nearly 8,000 evacuated and only 5% containment on this fire. So the big question everybody has is, how does COVID affect the firefighting operation? Well, as far as getting to the actual fire, which you can see burning off in the distance up there, it's no different. They're going to do the same plan of attack that they've done for decades, using the equipment and really everything they can to get to it, which is difficult because of the rugged terrain that it's in. They've had to use airdrops and rely solely on an aerial attack. But what really it does affect is where we are, base camp. When these guys come back, they have to follow the same social distancing rule that you and I do, which is very difficult when you're fighting a fire in 100-degree heat. It means they have to wear masks, they have to try to stay away from each other, and when they're trying to get people into shelters, everybody needs their temperature checked, and if there's too many people in one shelter, they have to split those people up and create a new shelter. It makes everything that they're doing on the ground here much more complicated, and it adds to the anxiety of people who need to leave their home because of what's burning right behind me. They're doing all they can to get a handle on it, but it's a tough go. Allison?
All right. Yes, it is. And so what we have to do as individuals now, you know, whatever state you live in, is, I've been saying, even when you go out to do shopping, something mundane, you have to pre-plan your trip. You got to be equipped. You know, do y'all have individual bottled water in your trunks of your car? Do you know how to survive in a car? Now, I just got an email request today that some folks want me to do some videos on how to survive in the wilderness. I know how to survive, but I'm going to need some help. I don't want to be the only one to do it. I'm giving a female perspective. I need a male perspective. I need Cap or anybody that have any type of military training so we can prepare each other, because the royal family is always looking bad in disasters. We know that, you know, the winter going to be rolling in already in Florida. You know, I'm going to be reporting about Florida. I've been keeping up with that for the last few days too as well. And we're always not prepared. We have to be prepared, my royal family. I can only focus on us. You know, there's some things that you can buy inexpensive, cheap backpacks and have them with necessary things that you need in it. Just so you know how to survive even in your car when you get caught ass out. You need to get some good masks and all of that. We have to add these factors in. This is a way of life. And then not just have the stuff, know how to use the stuff, you know? And I've been preaching this for the longest on my channel, you know, about, are you prepared? You know, do you got steel shank rain boots? You know, don't get no steel toe anything, because you can get your toe smashed and then you gonna lose your feet. You know, things like that people don't think of. And I'm committed to that. I'll do more than one video, but like I said, I want assistance on it because I don't want to miss anything. It might be that one little important key thing that I may miss. So now we got these issues here in California. We got coronavirus, all that crap the governor's saying that it's going down here and it's blah, blah, blah. It's going to always be here. So it's a way of life. And coronavirus should be always on your frontal lobe before you step out in them doors, because it's in them streets. And so, do you know how to protect your individual self, your family, your royal babies? Do you have a plan? You know, all these type of things. Like I said, there's a reason why we at home. And it's not just to sit back and see what's going on with others and thinking, oh, this can't happen to me. Oh, it's happening. It's happening to all of us. Because if it ain't happening to us, why we shut in, you know? That's how we have to look at it and everything. And again, my royal family, there is no need to worry. True Royal is not doing as many videos. I will be stepping it up with my videos, but I get like this sometimes. I'm introspective. I'm taking in the universe. It's a lot going on. And the way I'm made up, I have to take it in sometimes and really pay attention and make sure I deliver the best message as possible to the royal family. So anyway, my royal family, render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.